Lonnie, and we're back, but I got a message here. This is cold. I mean, come on, don't treat a guy like this. I think we should have a Boswell T-shirt retirement party on Friday. Ooh, that's cold. You don't know who Sorry, folks. Sam would even know who Boswell was, Lonnie.
I know several Boswells.
Okay, well, Jason, there's been a request. I'm your host, BKP. Jason Banks is the director of Team FYN Sports. We hope he's doing well today. He's in recovery. He's an Oklahoma Sooner fan. Jason is from Oklahoma. Great guy, head of Team FYN Sports. Great guy, but he wore the Boz T-shirt Friday on the show. Okay? He wore the Boz T-shirt, and he was wearing the Oklahoma Sooner hat. And one of our viewers wants to have the Boswell T-shirt retirement party on Friday. That was pretty cold. I'm your host, BKP.
Now I want to know, since he has the Boswell, he had Oklahoma and everything, is he going to root for Georgia in the championship?
Yeah, he lives. No, he is. He said on the show, Jason Banks, director of Team FYN Sports, he said on the show Friday, he is from Oklahoma, so obviously that's where his heart is, growing up a college football fan. And but he's been in Georgia for years. He's been to Athens several times, and he's already said, he's not going to have a problem rooting for Georgia. But I will say, anyhow, Friday, folks. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. We're going to cut back to college football talk. Yes, there was a second game last night. I think it was a second game. Alabama won 24-6 over Clemson. How many of you caught on about halftime that this really was not going to turn in? I mean, it was such a downer after the Rose Bowl. I'm trying to get over talking about it, but after the Rose Bowl game, and you're hyped up, okay? The Alabama-Clemson game was a real downer. I mean, 24-6. It was boring. I mean, it was good football, but still yet, all right? I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. We're North Georgia's only live online morning show. Sam is on road trip. Sam got an opportunity to go out to our producer. Sam got an opportunity to go out to Seattle and take a tour bus on the way back. Should I explain the tour bus? Because, there may be the picture that she's on one of those senior citizen trips, right, Lonnie? That would be wrong, right? Sam's on. So she had an opportunity to come back on a tour bus with a family member, so we'll leave it at that. But we had a picture of her. Where is Sam? You got our graphic. We're going to be looking this week.
Yeah.
Sam is Lonnie's running the Star Enterprise this morning. There's Sam, and she's on the road trip, and she's in Colorado. She went through Colorado. She went through Nebraska. How many picks do you have? A couple Nebraska, Colorado. Is that it?
No, I got more. Hang on.
You got more? What's that?
-5 or 5.
What?
Is that Sam?
That's Sam, yeah.
And she's got, I can't see that. Okay, where's she at there? Did she tell you where she's at there?
She did. Hang on one second.
What else you got there? Cross country. Good for her.
That's her watching the game.
Oh, she's watching the game in the tour bus?
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, where's that at?
Let me do this instead.
Lonnie, she had... That's got to be cold. She said it was 0 in Nebraska last night. And what's that?
That's Nebraska.
Welcome to Nebraska. So she's got Colorado, Nebraska, Wyoming. Wyoming or Wyoming?
Wyoming.
Wyoming,
You gotta
right?
add the G.
Yeah, you do get the G on that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've had to practice Illinois,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Okay, Sam. I'm interested when she gets back, because it's not till you take a trip like this. This is a great country. It really is. This is an awesome country. And if you've lived somewhere your whole life and you haven't had the opportunity to travel much within this country, when you take a trip like this across country, you get to say, you come back and you say, man, this is an awesome country. It's.
Sam's going to disagree with you wholeheartedly.
Why?
Yeah, because it hasn't been above 10 degrees since she left.
Well, she's going to say it's a cold.
Yeah.
All right, folks. A couple things we're looking at here that I want you to pay attention to stay with us on. That we're going to be looking at. It is 2018. We're going to get serious about some things. Now, if you will go, I don't know if all of you would like to do this, okay? But this is something I really want you to pay attention to, okay? Because there's some big implications. There's some big things that could come out of this that are good and are concerns. And that's called the House Rural Development Council. Now, what is that? Georgia, another thing here we're going to talk about. I understand Pakistan. I understand you've waited your whole life for a president that would tell Pakistan, go to hell, get your act together, quit harboring terrorists that kill our men and women, and we'll think about sending you $255 million in aid. All right, I understand that, okay? But it's 2018. They are back to work, sadly to report. Our legislators are back at it. They're up there in Washington, D.C. Did you notice, like from Christmas all the way through New Year's, that the media could not manufacture the hype it wanted to manufacture? They could not manufacture DACA. Okay, they could not manufacture Obamacare. They could not manufacture the news. They would hope that you would watch and follow all the way through Christmas, right from the Tax Reform Act, the Tax Reform Job Act that the President of the United States signed before he went to Mar-a-Lago. Okay, if they could not manufacture these crises that they like to report in the last 10 days, who is driving the crises ship when they get back to work? Are you listening all over? Oh, they've got to deal with DACA. No wall, no amnesty, no dreamer. Dreamers can, just wish upon a star if there's no money for the wall. So we know all that. Here's the other thing that's going on I want you to pay attention to. It's very important, okay? And if you would like to help me here in 2018, pay attention to legislation, all right? But every state, no matter where you're at right now, every state in the United States, your state legislators are getting ready to go back to work, okay? In Georgia, that is Monday, January 8th. Now, the Speaker of the House, David Ralston, said that he will not be there Tuesday, January 9th. He'll be celebrating the Bulldogs National Championship, okay? He did make that little reference in a video I watched. So he'll be enjoying the Georgia Bulldogs National Championship Tuesday the 9th. But your Georgia legislators go back to work under the Gold Dome, okay, this coming Monday, all right, the 8th, January 8th. So one thing I want to encourage you this year, in January of this year, because we're going to see the 2018 election cycle, all right? And there's a couple things you want to pay attention to between the Virginia, okay, Georgia, all right? You have Hunter Hill, that is a candidate for governor, that retired his position as a state senator out of Marietta, so he could continue to run for governor while the House is in session, or Congress or the state is in session, and could continue to raise money. All right? Guess what? That seat went to a Democrat in the special election. So 2018 is important on so many levels that you have to pay attention to. Number one, you have obviously your local elections, but you have the state elections. And I don't mean for governor. We have governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state. We have so many positions statewide that we have to pay attention to. Insurance commissioner, so on and so forth. Thank God Ralph Hunch is no longer going to be insurance commissioner. So we have that to pay attention to on the statewide races. But all of your states out there, 2018 election, the Democrats want back, or they want some ground in the state houses. Okay, they've lost the presidency. All right? They lost the House of Representatives. They lost Senate. They lost Congress, period, okay? They're losing ground with judges right now. Losing ground with judges. Believe it or not, they have to have state backlash. State backlash is something they need to do. They need to regroup. If you will vote for a state senator, if you will vote for a state representative as a Democrat, those areas could be strong enough when you get to 2020 for the national election. So you're looking at Donald Trump won, 2016, with a record number of states, governor's mansions belonging to Republicans, a record number of state houses, both sides of the aisle. And when I say both sides of the Capitol, the House of Representatives and the Senate, your state House and Senate, belonging to you see both sides belonging to Republicans. All right, which translates into support. Okay, if you have governors out there supporting if you have a governor out there supporting the Republican candidate, it helps. If you have a state house that's supportive of a Republican candidate, it helps. So the list goes on. So in 2018, they need to make major inroads in state politics, your House and Senate. So don't fall for don't watch your state Democrat Party. Don't fall for just flipping, the House of Representatives. Don't fall for switching the Senate. I, for one, do not believe they will be able to flip the House and the Senate in the 2018 midterms. But state House and state Senate, watch for that. Now, what's going on in your state that you need to pay close attention to? In Georgia, go through the pre-files. I'm asking you to go through the pre-files, okay? So when you go to, I'm going to give you how to get there, all right? If you go to Georgia House of Representatives, you can start there, Georgia House of Representatives, all right? And then you could go to legislation. In the top left-hand corner, you can go to legislation. And you could go to, as you look down, there'll be a link to the Senate, all right? And you have Senate pre-files. Now, they'll stack up this week. They started last week. They will stack up this week because Monday session starts, all right? So you have the Senate pre-files, which will stack up, and then you have the House pre-files, Georgia House pre-files. And what this is these are the bills that are pre-filed in order to try to get them through all the committees and hurdles and get these to the floor for a vote. All right? So you got your House and you got your Senate. They will stack up this week. You'll watch pre-files. That's where you keep an eye on the House and Senate legislation that's being considered in this session of the state. Now, the one thing I want you to, because you're going to start seeing legislation pile up, and there's a little bit of the reason you see it in the last week is maybe so you don't keep a close eye on. But there's one particular area I want you to pay attention to. It's called the House Rural Development Council. All right. Now, last year, the Speaker of the House, David Ralston, we have heard over. If you're in Georgia, you understand what the two Georgias mean. Okay, there are two Georgias. There's Atlanta and there's the rest of the state. Okay, and Speaker Ralston, being from North Georgia, Gilmer and Fannin County, and a portion of Dawson County that he covers, he has heard that over and over from myself, from you, if you're in North Georgia. All around the state, other representatives have come to Speaker Ralston and say, you know, we need to address the two Georgia, Atlanta and the rest of the state. Okay. Recently, there's been a lot of friction with the two Georgias when you get the new Brave Stadium and you get the new billion-dollar Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and you get a tax break for Super Bowl tickets, and you get all of these tax breaks to bring corporations to Georgia. There's been a side feeling that we have purchased all the jobs that have come to Georgia by the tax breaks. But what about Gilmer County? What about Rayburn County? What about the outlying counties that make up rural Georgia? How do you get business to go there? How do you get people to move there? How do you get health care, stable health care in those areas? How do you do it? What do you do? What about broadband? What about when teachers, okay? Now think about this, because we're gonna dig deeper on this, and I'll tell you why. Think about when teachers are now giving assignments by email. Oh yeah. I mean, we will have to, in the next several years. I'm not going to change direction, but we have to change the need for these brick and mortar. It's interesting that we feel we need to build enormous multi-million-dollar brick and mortar facilities, okay, for education. At the same time, now stop and think, at the same time, the private sector, okay, is cutting back brick and mortar. Now don't take that wrong. Well, you're going to call our children and our education Best Buy, or you're going to call them Sears? No. I'm not doing that. But just think about brick and mortar, okay? If you'll take, just in Georgia, take in your state, the multi-millions of dollars. I say multi. I mean, you have new schools that are going up that are in the millions of dollars, okay? And we do not resemble the classroom needs that we had 20 years ago. There was 25 years ago, there was a need for these box rooms with chalkboards and desks. There was a need for that kind of brick and mortar. But that is a thing of the past. So I think it's interesting that schools continue to need. Now watch what will happen. This is not teachers. You will never, three times, turn this show on and have me discuss teachers in a negative way, unless they're not doing their job. But, okay, you'll never have that. This has nothing to do with the teachers. But pay attention in your state with why you are being told that you have to have these enormous brick and mortar, okay? Now, don't you think it's interesting that you have online degrees? You could take an online course from a university at home and never step foot in the university, okay? Now you're going to say, well, wait a minute. I don't want to go to correspondence school. This is not a school, and some of you, I'm going to lose you, but it's generational. This is not a school that I signed up that was on the back of a Matchbox cover that I filled my name out and they, sent me a test and I'm now a notary public because I was able to pass the test. No. We have educational systems, higher levels of learning that you can complete courses, complete your classes that are not brick and mortar. Now, the reason I'm going there is you will continually be told in these universities, state university, drive through one of these state university towns. They have created cities, okay? Self-sustained. They love self-sustained. Cities. Enormous dormitories. Well, you don't want to lose the college experience. Do you realize how many kids would never have to leave home? Oh my God, mom and dad just freaked out. But you realize how many kids would never have to go anywhere and the money that would not have to be spent, that you actually, in 2018, can get your education online through virtual, telecommunication of lectures. You could have studios with professors lecturing 100,000 people online, and you're in class. But no, if you take the physical dollars for the brick and mortar out of schools and actually spend it on the kids, just saying, pay attention. Okay, so how did I get off on that? Because these schools in the rural communities continue to build enormous, what I would call, junior college kind of campuses. All right. So, anyhow, the House Rural Development Council, all right, Speaker Ralston put that into place, all right, put that into place. So he created this council last year. You have to do it through the House. You have to vote on it to create a committee. And they created this, and they went to several. And if you go to the Georgia House of Representatives, all right, and you click on the House Rural Development Council, you will see Terry England as the co-chair, Jay Powell as the co-chair. You'll see all the members. You'll see the meetings. The final meeting where they voted on everything was in Milledgeville, December 13th. Okay, you will see that. Warm Springs, that meeting was November 29th. The Albany, Georgia meeting, all right, November 8th and 9th. Waycross, Georgia. Metter, Georgia, it was on healthcare, all right. Dalton, Ellijay, Bainbridge, Thomasville, Toccoa, and Tifton. These were all meetings that they had throughout the state in rural areas to discuss bringing business to the area, infrastructure, healthcare, broadband, and so I want to focus on two things. I want to take a break. I want to come back and I want to talk about broadband in these areas, all right? And also what they discussed as far as hospitals. Now, in 2018, rural hospitals, because we experienced it right here, you should pay attention to this because I don't know what your state has. But I'm pretty sure your state follows suit with what's called a certificate of need, all right? And obviously the government, the state says, is there a need for a hospital? Do you have a certain amount of population, 85,000, all right, or whatever? What is the base? Do you have enough customers for a hospital? Now, I, for one, think, well, okay, it may be foolish, but I, for one, think if you can get 5 investors together and you go down here and you buy a piece of property and you got all the utilities and you build the building and call it a hospital and meet the requirements of a hospital, with the whatever you have to have other than a certificate of need. And then if people don't come in and pay their bill, then you close because you went broke. But no, the government wants to run our health care. So certificate of need and micro hospitals. And we'll talk about that and broadband when I come back in the state of Georgia. Take us a break, Lonnie.
I've had the time of my life. I never felt like this before. I swear it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. I'll tell you something. This could be love, because I've had the time of my life. I've never felt like this before, 'cause I've had the time of my life.
The Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's TEAS. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
Better days ahead. 'Tis the season of huge year-end discounts at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Every 2017 and 2018 Chevy is discounted deep right now. Like $5,000 off Equinox LT from $26,750, or a whopping $10,000 off new Silverado Crew Cabs from $33,695. Unwrap huge holiday savings on every Chevy at Days Chevrolet in Jasper, where we make the holidays bright.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart.
Kinty Artesian Silver and Gifts, the Peruvian shop, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Fine sterling silver, luxurious baby alpaca and exotic woods. A beautiful selection of exquisitely crafted gifts for all of your special occasions. Visit our website, artesiansilvergifts.com, or follow us on Twitter at Artesian Silver Gifts. Kinty Artesian Silver and Gifts, the Peruvian shop in downtown Blue Ridge.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Okay, we're back, and I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. And what we're talking about right now is your state. Your state is getting ready to go. Now, you're getting ready to go back into session, wherever you're at. And we do know Illinois will not be able to pay the bills. Okay, they've gone from the 5th most populous state in the United States in the Union to number 6. The taxpayers are leaving. We know there will be states this year where collapse has to take place. We've talked about that. Okay, but you have heard so much about net neutrality. Okay, all right. You have heard net neutrality for the past month. Now, the reason I bring this up, because we are in Georgia, obviously, and the Speaker of the House, David Ralston, put together the House Rural Development Council. And what the House Rural Development Council was supposed to do was go all through the state and hear the needs, all right? So I know how I got off the direction on schools a minute ago. So we have here in 2018, we don't have the age of textbooks. We have the age of, iPads and, different pads. We don't have the age of, returning your books at the end of the year. There's not quite the problem of everybody return their books. I mean, you can actually almost do every single class online. We're in an age that takes, that the good teachers are gravitating. Now listen, I'm so tired of hearing education. Let me tell you why it's not anti. Because every time a politician tells you that they are in favor of education, helping education, and do what they can to educate our kids, hold them to their words by saying, hey, something has to happen in some of the rural areas. This is all across America. Now, obviously, can we reach the dream of everybody having fiber optic run to their door and have upload and download speeds that are so awesome? I don't know that we can do that. We can make the attempt. But here in Georgia, when you are looking at South Georgia, North Georgia areas where teachers now are sending homework assignments by email, okay? Or Google has done, and I can't get into it, but they have done packages for schools, okay? And a teacher can have a Google account for the class that all of the class has access to get their assignments, read the lectures, and get links to articles needed for the assignments. I'm serious. And dates for testing. This is where we're at. But rural Georgia, there's a lot of places, when I say rural Georgia, we're in North Georgia, Fannin and Gilmer, and you're going to say, well, Gilmer County has awesome schools and Fannin has great schools. Okay, we understand that, all right? But you're going to tell me, no matter what you tell me about the Fannin County schools, I'm going to go to Fannin County, all right? I know there's kids that go home that have service from an internet provider there that is very poor in Fannin County. Very poor service, all right? If they have to watch an instructional video, very poor service, all right? So the teachers, to bring good teachers in, and this sounds negative to the teachers that are there, teachers want to go where the technology, they can utilize the technology and be able to teach in this century, okay? Not textbooks. All right. That being said, internet broadband. There's a couple things I want to look at because I want to ask this question. Whether you like it or not, okay, in the stimulus, all right, let's go back to Obama. Yes, I know the little whack job has a button that he says is nuclear, that he can push a button. I know that in North Korea. I know Pakistan. All right, I understand there's people uprising in Iran, all right? But this needs to be asked because we're going into the legislative session and you're going to see rural development here in legislation in Atlanta. Stimulus, whether you like it or not, and Barack Obama, his stimulus, something you may not know. Stimulus billions funds rural broadband internet. So when Obama and the Democrats are passing this stimulus package, all right, for businesses in rural America, fast internet connection remains a scarce luxury. A $7 billion stimulus package aims to narrow the digital gap. Fast internet access is a luxury most businesses take for granted these days, but in remote areas, see, this is trying to get businesses to come outside of the downtown Atlanta. In most areas of the country, the crackle of dial-up modem connection remains a familiar sound. A $7.2 billion stimulus initiative aims to expand broadband access. Now, here's the truth. They're going to tell you the models, all right? They're going to tell you the millennials love to live downtown. They're going to tell you the millennials love where they can get an Uber just like that, all right? They're going to tell you all the models they see. The people are gravitating towards Atlanta, gravitating towards the major metropolitan areas. And I'll tell you why. It's not the total answer, but the reason why is the services needed in the rural areas of the country. That's where. See, this is the reason I'm talking rural today. Because rural America won the last election, right? They did. So you have to, the services provided to people in rural America are inadequate. We have inadequate internet. Well, they'll keep telling you, well, it's that rough mountainous terrain out there that you have. No, folks. They can get high-speed internet to the schools in the middle of, but not to your house. They can get high-speed internet wherever they want to. I don't know technologically of what I speak, but I'm going to tell you pretty sure that if you have electricity that comes into your home, you could have high-speed internet come into your home. That I'm pretty sure of, okay? Now, where I'm going with that is all of the models show that everybody wants to go to Atlanta, okay? Well, business is not going to come to areas that they cannot get the proper internet or broadband to run their business. They're not going to do it. Stimulus money was sent out, whether you like it or not, was sent out to work on this $7.2 billion. My question for you now, all right, because you're going to hear a lot of talk. I have heard more talk in the past 6 or 7 years, okay, about rural broadband. I would like for you to ask your local provider, whoever they may be, how much money they got out of this rural broadband internet stimulus program and didn't use it to increase their customers' internet speed. Because it happened, folks. It happened all over. Internet providers got money, received money out of this program. And you did not receive high. Now, this is why we're talking about the infrastructure program, $1 trillion that Donald Trump. If Donald Trump wants to do, President of the United States, an infrastructure program, I'm not against it, is we have to stop these kind of things from happening. If you start looking where $7.2 billion went in the increased rural broadband, you will find some people did a great job with it. But you will find most did not. Okay? Call your internet provider. Ask them, hey, I don't have a fiber optic run to my house. I have very poor service. All I want to know is, did you receive any money whatsoever from the stimulus internet package. Okay, there's two federal agencies that, if they say no, there's two federal agencies, the Commerce Department's National Telecommunication Information Administration and the Agriculture Department's Rural Utility Service. Each landed billions of dollars from the Recovery Act to fund new broadband infrastructure projects. Okay? And this goes back to 2009. So ask your provider like Windstream how much money they got from one of these programs. It did not increase the level of service. Okay? Did not. Ask them how much money they got from this. Now, why is this turned into the state? Because you're going to see the state of Georgia now step up its game. Okay? So, are your state and local representatives protecting your local broadband provider? Or do they truly want to see you get? You're going to hear the cost of bringing broadband to your door. High speed. You're going to hear how much it costs. That's one thing. The other thing I want to talk about, daggone, this show's almost over. Rural hospitals, okay? The healthcare, Obamacare, what happens? Now in LJ, we lost the North Georgia Medical Center, all right? It closed. Now there's a such thing called a certificate of need, all right? You have to have a certificate of need, all right, to have a hospital. You can't just decide you're going to go open a hospital. Can't do it. You have to have a certificate of need. Now, North Georgia Medical Center, which I forget the name of the hospital, the parent company, they closed. Sunlink, thank you, Len. All right, Sunlink Health, all right? They closed. Sunlink Health closed, all right? I mean, they didn't close. They closed the hospital. But they made a deal with Piedmont Physicians Care or whatever, Piedmont Hospital, all right? Now, Piedmont has a very good facility down in Jasper, Georgia. Piedmont Mountainside, I think it is. Nobody really ever complained about Piedmont's care services in Jasper. That was never the real issue. The issue was that Gilmer County would not have a hospital. All right. Now, early on, they were opening an emergency care facility. Piedmont was opening an emergency care facility. All right. They completely stayed away from the word hospital. Completely stayed away from the word hospital. But in order to have, I think, 10 overnight beds, possible of 10 overnight beds or overnight beds, if they needed to admit you immediately for some reason, there was the certificate of need. So you don't want that to go away. So here Sunlink's going to close the hospital, and when they close, they have the certificate of need. So once you get that, you're in ownership of it. All right? So it's almost like selling a territory. You have the rights to a territory. Just like a utility or something, you have the rights to a market once you have this certificate of need. Now, it turned out that what they had to do is Piedmont had to go through the complete channels and start all over an application process, I'll put it like that, to obtain their certificate of need from North Georgia Medical Center. They couldn't just come into Gilmer County, and I want you to hear me out on this, they couldn't come into Gilmer County and say, we want to buy your hospital, we're going to close the hospital side, we're going to open a state-of-the-art emergency room, and we'll give you X with the certificate of need, and Sunlink could not make that decision or actually make that sell. All right, that's my understanding. They had to reapply to the state for a certificate of need for here. It turned into being called, and the reason I'm going with this, it turned into be called now a micro hospital. So what you're going to hear in the Georgia State Rural council, you're going to see legislation, is they'd like to streamline if you have a rural hospital and it's going under and it's going broke because of indigent care. And what is indigent care? The people that keep coming into the hospital that can't pay, all right? And your hospital is going broke because between Medicaid payments, Medicare payments, and indigent care, it can't stay open. They now call this a micro hospital. Now, at first, Piedmont stayed clear away from the word hospital, but it's now called a micro hospital. So you're going to watch a state of Georgia that wants to streamline certificate of need to where if you have a rural hospital and you have a corresponding hospital, a larger hospital, one county away like we do here in Gilmer at Pickens, and that hospital wants to reach in and buy that hospital, they could streamline the process with their certificate of need and turn it into a micro hospital. So Piedmont Emergency Care is a model that they're going to use around the state. But what you got to pay attention to is now the bidding process for hospitals in the state to get just the certificate of need. I'm just saying, pay attention to that. Rural, broadband, how many of your internet providers took the stimulus money? And certificate of need in hospitals. That's coming up. I just want to pay attention to that. I'm telling you. I will be in Atlanta Thursday. I'm going to be asking the Speaker of the House some of these questions. Thursday, I'm going to Atlanta and going to get an opportunity to ask some of these questions to the Speaker of the House. It's a great video. Might be boring to some, but if you go to the House of Representatives of the state of Georgia, you will see a button that says House Rural Development Council, and it is a 2-hour. The video says it's over 3 hours, but it includes a long break and everything like that. So it's approximately a 2-hour and 20-minute video that is worth it's worth it to me. I watched all 2 hours and 20 minutes. So okay, we'll come back. That's January 8th. One more thing on state. I know there's a lot of discussion. Hunter Hill, he's a great candidate. We will get into the governor candidates. The candidates for governor in the state of Georgia, will get into those as the week goes on. But he retired, or he left office, did not complete his term. All right. Basically, I understand for the reason of so he could collect money, he could fundraise and campaign while they're in session. So what you're going to see is major push, okay? And don't take this wrong. If you have a candidate out there, and I'm not bringing up any names, that you want to support financially, you got to do it this week. You have to. There will be a major push for all candidates this week financially for fundraising, because when session starts Monday morning, the rules are they're not allowed to take any fundraising, do any fundraising events, and they're not allowed to campaign. They're not allowed to campaign. Now, they will be on the floor of the House and Senate, and they will come out to the microphones, and they will campaign in a way because they'll be discussing legislation that's on the floor, so that's the way they'll get their campaigning out. But officially, they can't campaign, raise money, or do any fundraisers. So all of your candidates this week in the state of Georgia, they're pushing. And if you want to support one of them, that's up to you. You pick one out. But financially, they need it this week, because then they have to wait for session to end. And as soon as the session ends, that's when there's a mad dash for the primaries. I'm your host, BKP. We'll be back right after these messages. Lonnie, take us to break.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the